to Where Are They Now Quarantine Edition. I'm Carol Scott, Executive Director of Wild Horse Children's Theater and Wild Horse Productions. And with me today is Grant Davis. Grant, how are you?
Hi. I am so good. I'm so glad to be here. So
Oh my
excited.
goodness, I am so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you. It's so great to be back in a nice warm circle of people. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, and that's what I've been feeling when I've been interviewing all our alumni and your peers when we
Oh, I
had
bet.
that amazing group together here at Wild Horse. So tell me where you are quarantining, because this is the reason we were able to do this. And is this where you live?
I'm quarantining here in Carson City. I've lived here, back here at home, for about a year and a half. Before that, I was living in LA. And yeah, I'm glad to be home. My mom's health had kind of declined, so I came back to visit, and I decided to stay for a bit. And it was a good choice. Wanted to get
Right.
my feet back on the ground, so to
Well,
speak.
a good time to be here and not in LA. I'm
Absolutely.
happy my children have made that decision also. Because if they
Right?
were in LA, I would worry about them. So I know your mom is very happy to have you at home.
Yes, we are all getting very close in this household, that is for sure.
So we're talking about Wild Horse, and this is mostly for our young actors that are coming up. I thought they might be interested in hearing about where our alumni have gone and what they've been doing. So can you tell me, if you remember, how old you were when you started in Wild Horse, what shows you have done, and what was your last show with Wild Horse?
So I think I was 13 when I did my first show, and that was Seussical, and I played a Wickersham. And then I did Beauty and the Beast, which I played LeFou, still to this day one of my favorite roles. And then I did Honk, where I played Ugly. I'm still so glad I got cast in that role. I hope that doesn't say much about my actual appearance. Um, and then my last show that I did was Hairspray, where I played Link Larkin.
Oh, that was a fabulous production. And I was talking to Heather the other day, and she said that was her favorite production also. But I have to say, you and Honk, that was my favorite role that you did for us. I mean, you were a perfect ugly, not, and it was about the ugly duckling. If people don't understand,
Uh,
he wasn't ugly, but he was so quirky and so wonderful in that part. And the songs in that show were amazing. Grant, you were amazing in that
well,
role.
thank you.
So
Yeah,
really
that definitely has a piece of my heart, for
brings
sure.
back a lot of memories, a lot of memories.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us where you have gone from Carson City? And I know personally that you have done a lot in the industry. So can you fill us in on your path after you left Carson?
Absolutely, I would love to. I had some really. I want to start off by saying I had some really great parents who helped me get to where I was in the industry. It started there. Yeah, it started there. I mean, I don't think that I could have gotten anywhere without them. I mean, I was on Dr. Phil around 15, and then at 16, I signed with a huge Universal Music Group contract, which was amazing. But I really do, I have to say, I think it had less to do with my talent and my drive, and more to do with kind of my parents' willingness to go along with all of this. And then later in my career, I kind of had to decide for myself whether this was what I want to do. I think each like creative person has to go through that journey of being like, okay, do I want to pursue this as my lifelong dream? And that, I feel, kind of becomes a battle. It can be a battle once you decide, yes, this is what I was going to do. And so around 18, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is what I want to do. So much so that I moved from Los Angeles, where I'd been working for 3 or 4 years, to San Diego. And I actually ended up studying psychology, of all things. And I got a call from, as fate has it, I got a call from a manager of mine who said, hey, I have this great role for you. I would love to submit you for this part. And my first instinct was, no, I'm done. I've moved on with my life. I'm doing bigger and better things. Um, and then she gave me more information on the role, and it turns out it was based on one of my favorite books called Something Like Summer. Long story short, I went in and I got a call back, and I got a second call back, and they flew me out to New York, and it was amazing. And the next thing I knew, I was up in Oregon filming for 2 months, the film. And then they took me on a wild ride around the world to Australia and Philadelphia and Seattle. It was pretty nuts. But like I said, I think that a big part of it has to do with luck and with opportunity being placed in front of us. So as hard as I worked, I know that I'm very lucky to be where I'm at, for
Well,
sure.
I have to say that I was at the premiere of your film in Carson City,
Yes, you
and
were.
I was so proud of you. And it was a beautiful film, beautiful film. And what a wonderful job you did in that film acting, Grant. It was really wonderful. So I was very proud as a person that directed you in a small part in your career to see you up on the big screen. So that was wonderful. So you're back in Carson now, and what are you doing? Are you doing music?
Well, right now, I am during the quarantine. I've definitely been focusing a lot on my music, trying to get back in the headspace of getting back to Los Angeles. So doing everything that I need to do. I've been working out a lot of songwriting, which you'll hear some of today. Um, and then just taking time for myself. I've found that I have a little hobby in crocheting. So every evening before I go to bed, I make sure that I crochet a few knots. Um, and spending a lot of time with family, making
That's
sure
great.
family is a priority at this time.
I
Yeah.
want to see that crocheting.
Hold that thought. I got something.
You never know the talents of our students. And you know what? I think crocheting and knitting is a great thing to do backstage. That's
So
quiet.
it is so fantastic. Yeah. So this was the most
Let me see.
recent.
What
This
are you
is my most
making?
recent project.
What is that, Grant?
It's a scarf.
A
It's my most
scarf.
recent project. I finished it 2 days ago.
That's wonderful. And I think I'll encourage our young actors to take up crocheting and knitting.
Absolutely. It's
It's
great
a
for
great
focus
thing to
too.
do.
Yeah.
So, do you have a crazy or funny story about what happened to you on stage or backstage in a show?
Yes. I definitely gave a lot of thought to this because, and I've watched a couple of the videos back of the other people getting interviewed for the series, and there are a lot of moments that are so funny. I was thinking back to my Hairspray days, where my professionalism was very much tested. During It Takes Two, I'm kind of miming playing the guitar, and about halfway through the song, I take off the guitar and move into the dance portion. Um, and it had gone well every night, so I had no worries about taking off the guitar and it being an issue. And then the night before closing, I had invited a bunch of my friends to come see the show, and they were sitting in the front row. And that was the night that I proceeded to, as I was taking the guitar off, slam my head into the guitar, and it made a god awful noise. Um, and I really believe that I would have held it together if I didn't have a whole bunch of people in my audience laughing their faces off at me. So it was definitely very unLane Clarkin, very uncool, very unchill, but fun. That show was fun nonetheless. I had a blast during Hairspray. I agree with Heather in the sense that that was probably my favorite show that we did.
You know, that was a wonderful show and a more mature show than we usually do in children's theater because it was more teens. And what a
Mhm.
stellar cast we had. And I was looking at Henry Wilson's pictures recently
Mhm.
because I'm going to interview him tomorrow. And
Yeah,
I forgot so that he was Edna. And it just brought back all these amazing memories of him and Hannah. I mean, what a stellar group of young people we were
we got
fortunate to
really
work with.
lucky. We got really lucky in that
Yeah.
show. That's
Are you doing any theater or have you done any theater? I know you've done music and I know you recorded and I know you've done film, probably commercials, but any theater?
Theater hasn't been as much in my life at this point. It's definitely something that I still have a passion about. When I was in Los Angeles, I was auditioning quite a bit for theater, but nothing really stuck. So right now, I'm trying to focus on the things that are working for me, which was definitely music. I'm definitely starting to feel my niche when it comes to songwriting, and doing the film Something Like Summer really changed my whole mindset on what I want to pursue when it comes to my craft.
That's great. If you were doing theater,
Yeah,
let's like throw it out in the universe. Do you have a dream role?
absolutely. I've played Mark in Rent twice,
Oh,
but I would give anything to play it again or even professionally. I think that Rent is one of the single greatest shows that's ever been produced. And Jonathan Larson is a total idol of mine. I was actually thinking about because you sent these questions beforehand, and what dream role I would have even outside of theater. And Jonathan Larson was actually one that came to mind. What a great man, and what an idyllic character to play, maybe further along in my career in some biopic or something like that. I find him fascinating.
That's
Absolutely.
great. Well, I'm going to throw Rent out to the universe since we have Wild Horse Stageco now that we're doing
Uh-huh.
for teens and young adults. So who knows? Rent could be in our future, and if you're still hanging around, we may drag you into that too.
If I'm around, you won't have to drag me.
Right. So I've been kind of putting people on the spot, and it's probably for me more than anyone, although we'd love to share everybody's talents. But do you have a song that you would like to share with us?
I do have a song.
Awesome.
So, like I said, I've been really invested in my songwriting lately. This is a small bit of a song that I just wrote called Restart the Clock. I should've. Regrets can become so insidious, and I could've been your man, but I became your idiot. And I would have done a push-up or two, driven through traffic for you, but I didn't. And there's no one to blame, and I still can't sing your name. And I lose my breath, I catch it twice, I trip, I fall, slip through the ice when racing back to October. Maybe it was June when it was over. And I'll crawl, I'll climb at any pace for the hands of time to hear my case. I'll grovel and beg for time to be unlocked. I'm looking for the right place to stop and restart the clock. Restart the clock.
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm ready for a concert.
Whenever you're ready, I'm ready as well.
I
You let me
love
know.
that, Grant. I'm just so thrilled at the talents I've been hearing from people from. I mean, we haven't had a guitar player yet, so that's wonderful.
Cool. I'm glad I
But
can mix things up.
that's good. I'm glad. So, in closing, any advice you would give our upcoming young actors who are working with us now, but might have their sights set on bigger things? I know everybody says Broadway, but a working actor is a working actor, and you've done so much in the industry. So, any insights or advice?
I was so excited. Again, you sent me the question, so I was very excited about this one in particular. I even wrote it down. So bear with me here. I have it all written down and ready and prepared. Um, Something that I've learned recently. Success is based on personal perception and the effort you put towards something. So I was very nervous about doing this series because I know that a lot of people who know me are going to watch, and people from my hometown, people who believed in me, some people who didn't. And by some people's perception, I could be considered a failure. I'm living back in my hometown. I am, and this is me being really, really honest. I'm living back in my hometown. I'm working at a diner for minimum wage. Um, but that's where I'm at. And acceptance of where you're at in your life is the most important thing. What being stuck at home has taught me is that success is based on the effort that I put towards either tomorrow or the future. I can't leave the house, so how am I supposed to be successful? You know what I mean? Is I got up this morning, I worked out, I ate something healthy, I said something nice to my sister. I've succeeded for the day. So my piece of advice for young actors is to never put merit in other people's idea of success. Only put merit in the effort that you put towards something. So, for example, I know that a lot of the kids are really invested in getting a certain role when they audition for you. So even if you don't, if you don't get that role that you have worked so tirelessly for, your success should be considered in the effort that you put towards it. And if I know you, Carol, which I think I do know you well enough to know that you see effort just as much as you see talent. And that is something that's going to carry a lot of young actors through to their later years in their career. It's important to remember that effort matters just as much as talent and is always seen.
Grant, I totally appreciate you giving us your truth
Mhm,
and your passion.
mhm.
Everything you said is so honest and so real. I have, it's not just from you. I have heard from other people that I've interviewed who have been in New York and have been in LA and have the same, your path changes. It might not be your path today, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to be your path later. And
Absolutely.
people put so much, like I said, all of our kids, when they're young, they're all like, their sights are on Broadway.
Mhm.
Broadway is the shining star up
Yeah,
there. But
yeah,
being a working actor or a working musician, there are so many other paths to take. It's
yeah,
not
absolutely.
just I am on Broadway. I mean, there are a million ways to work your passion and your craft. And
Absolutely.
you have shown us that in so many ways, Grant. I've been proud of you when I've seen you on screen. I've been proud on you when I see you at home. So it doesn't change your talent.
I told my mom I wasn't going to cry today. I was like, I'm going to keep it together by all means. So once this is over, I'm going to lose it. But for now, I'm keeping it together.
Well, that's
Thank you,
okay.
Carol.
That's
That
honest.
means the
That's
world to
honest
me.
too. I've had. You're not the first one either that said, "Oh, I'm tearing up now," because we set our sights on the highest. But even if we don't make it all the way up that path at this point in our lives, you are so young. I have a friend who just got on Broadway 2 weeks before it closed down,
Oh,
and
brutal.
yes, and she is in her late 30s and has been in New York all this time, singing, doing cabarets, waiting tables, and finally made it into Wicked on Broadway
Wow.
for
Good
two
for her.
weeks, and then they closed
Oh,
down.
that's brutal. Well, and I think the perspective changes. Like I said, the perspective changes on what success really is. You saying you're proud of me means a whole lot more than a casting director that I don't know in Los Angeles saying they liked my work. Honestly, because we have an invested relationship and you care about where my future lies. And I think that that's something that people don't take into consideration, but really is the most valuable and important is the relationships that we build throughout our careers.
Totally. Very, very true. And totally, I mean, and that's why I'm doing this, because I can look back at all of
Yeah.
you who have grown up with us and and now you're so mature and have so much insight. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to do this, so that our young people coming up with us who are so focused on getting that part. I want to be Annie. I want to be Judy B. Jones.
Mhm.
Instead of they don't they're young. They don't see the whole picture of it yet. But that's why I wanted to bring this to them and show them, here's our stars, and here's where they've gone if they've chosen to be in the performing arts or not. It still has served them well in their careers and what they're doing with their lives. So,
Well, I am just blessed to be a part of it. Thank you, Carol. I really appreciate it.
well, I'm glad you're home, first of all, and I'm glad you're safe. I
Absolutely.
can't think of a better place to quarantine than in Carson City. So I'm glad you're not in LA and your mom's not worried about you. So
It all works out. That's the other thing. It all works out. It all is going to work out.
it does. It does. Well, thank you so much, Grant, for taking this time this afternoon to share your music and your love and your life with us. And when this is all over, we are going to lunch.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
would love that. That'd be great.
Okay. Well, I didn't know you were in Carson, so now that I know you're close, I'm going to take you up on lunch and we can
Come and find me.
chat
Yeah.
more about everything. Um, love seeing you, love you, and please tell your family hi from Wild Horse. They're part of our family too, so love
Will
to them
do.
too. Thanks again, Grant.
You're the
Take
best
care of
girl.
yourself.
Or midnight.